is brought to you live by Bahamas Maritime Connection. What is maritime?
Maritime, simply put, relates to navigation or commerce on the high seas.
Some say money makes the world go round. I say ships move the money that makes the world move. Who navigates those large international ships? How often are international ships required to be surveyed and inspected?
Maritime also protects our seas and waters. That we live on the good Bahamas Defense
It is
Force.
very sad to say that out of 1,500 plus ships that are registered under the Bahamian flag, only a very small
That's what I run of it now.
Maritime Matters.
And pleasant good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Maritime Matters. Whether you're listening via radio wave or 97.5 FM, via an internet radio app, via Cable Bahamas channel 951, or via BTC Flow channel 607. That's Flow TV channel 606. My correction. We appreciate you and we humbly welcome you to our show. We now encourage you to check out our YouTube page, Maritime Matters Bahamas. Here you can listen to all of our previous shows at your own leisure, slow, fast, however you want it. So feel free to hit us up on YouTube. That's Maritime Matters Bahamas. Again, pleasant good evening. I am Captain Glenn Bain. Welcome to Maritime Matters Show number 33. And tonight, our guest is here to enlighten us of the facts surrounding the popular discussed natural resource, Aragonite. Tonight, we aim to break down what really is Aragonite. Are the many myths surrounding the value of this commodity realistic? What is truly the market value of bulk Aragonite being shipped out of our country? What is involved in harvesting, stockpiling, and shipping Aragonite? What are some of the specialized equipment for mining Aragonite? What may be involved in the maintenance of such equipment? What are similar commodities being mined in the Bahamas for export? Are the Bahamian people being shortchanged with the royalties being derived from Aragonite mining? Well, let's hear what a local area expert on mining of aggregate from our Bahama land has to say about all of this. So on your marks, get set, and roll along as we navigate this controversial and highly interesting topic. Please do stay tuned. Our sponsors for tonight's show are One-on-One Pharmacy. You know the deal on them. They treat you like royalty. Her Royal Highness, Queen Elizabeth, has just passed away last week. The royalty treatment goes on once you walk into the doors of One-on-One Pharmacy. Check out my little cuz, Shantia McBride, and her lovely team at One-on-One Pharmacy. Fill your subscription at the store or send your refills via the online site, oneononepharmacy.com. The two locations are East Street South and Charles Sanders Highway. A third location is brewing, people. It's brewing and it's brewing fast. That one's going to be in our second city, Freeport, Grand Bahama. It's well on the way. When you walk into the door of that store, I tell you, the people treat you like they don't want you to leave. So give them a shot. Anytime you need medication, you need to buy yourself a little chocolate, a little drink, just walk into One-on-One Pharmacy and they will fix you right up. We are also sponsored by Bahamas Maritime Connection. Yes, that's the company I work for. We provide a full slate of ISPS maritime security services. And if you're not ISPS, you wouldn't understand that. But we need to talk a lot about ISPS. We haven't really gone on ISPS yet, but you know we're going to get on ISPS. But Bahamas Maritime Connection, we provide those services. To the listening audience out there, it will be remiss of me to go any further and not introduce our wonderful producer. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the insatiable, the man of the hour, the man with all the power. He is fully able, quite capable. The one and only Craig Gibson, and he salutes the crowd. Oh gosh, y'all should see Craig up in here, baby. He ain't playing. Got on his white suit, his white sailor shirt, and his sailor cap, and then he saluting, chopping one off like he used to be on the defense force with me. Thank you, Craig. You're listening to Maritime Matters, people. On this show, we talk maritime. Maritime Matters airs weekly at 19:30 every Tuesday here on Love 97 FM. The purpose of our show, to highlight persons that made significant contributions to the maritime industry in the Bahamas and to sensitize Bahamians of opportunities in the maritime sector. And of course tonight, to talk about Aragonite. My guests laughing at me. Okay, halfway through the show, we will open phone lines. The number to call will be 326-8255. I say again, the number that you can reach us and make your contribution, or if you want to challenge us, this is the number to call, 326-8255. Again, I want to highlight our past outstanding maritime heroes in the Bahamas. May all of their souls continue to rest in peace. And again, while this list is not totally exhausted, we got quite a lot of maritime professionals and highlight standouts in the past, but these are the ones that stand out, in my opinion, more than everybody else. Again, we start with the great skipper of the HMBS Flamingo, Senior Commander Amos Roll. By the way, I think Amos Roll was the only skipper of the HMBS Flamingo from the time she was built until the time she was sank by the Cuban Mix. So, Commander Amos Roll, may his soul continue to rest in peace. And we got a 50-year veteran of the port, the extraordinary port controller of all time, Mr. Leon Flowers. And how could we not mention our sloop sailing pioneer, the one and only, the legendary, we call him Cap, the master of all masters, Captain Raleigh Gray. And then we got our Olympic gold medalists. Well, you know they have to be good captains. And of course, one of them, a great pilot, probably the greatest pilot that ever walked the parts of this country, Sir Derwent Knowles and Cecil Cook. And again, may all of their souls rest in peace. We're talking maritime, people. You are listening to Maritime Matters. So at this point, we move to our first break. And when we return, we will engage tonight's most special guest. My boy, my dog, he's here with me tonight. So please, stay tuned.
OnePharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Shreveport in the Kipling building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Maritime Matters is still on the run. As I so promise you, right after the break, we will introduce our fantastic guest for tonight. Without further ado, I feel most honored to introduce such a special person for tonight's show. He hails all the way from the belly of the magic, the great city of Freeport. This cat, ladies and gentlemen, comes highly knowledgeable, fully experienced to appraise us on bulk aggregate in the Bahamas. Yes, it's a fella that, through hard work and dedication, moved his way to the pinnacle of the totem pole of the #1 company that mines aggregate in the Bahamas. In gaining such a status, this brother traversed his way to the mountaintop, wrestled down the Buddha Dane, and chewed on the betel nut. So brace yourself for quite an interesting and informative maritime discussion. I am highly honored to present to you tonight my good buddy and brother, Mr. Christopher CULMER. Brother Chris, welcome to Maritime Matters, my friend.
Thank you, Captain Bean. It is indeed a pleasure to be here. And that's a very provocative introduction.
Man, that's all. You earn every bounce and bit of that, my brother. Ain't nobody tell you work so hard and make it so high in the world of aggregate. So tell us, Chris, where were you born, which island, where did you grow up, that sort of thing. Let the people have an idea. Who is this great Chris CULMER?
All right, for starters, I was born right here in New Providence at the Princess Margaret Hospital.
Beautiful. Where did you grow up? You grew up in Freeport or Nassau? Let me know what's happening now.
I can get to it.
Yes, sir.
The third day after I was born, when my mother was released from the hospital,
Right.
she was back on the Noel Roberts back to Freeport.
Oh, so your mommy lived in Freeport. She came to Nassau to have you, and you went. Oh, so you ain't really no Nassau boy.
No, I know Nassau boy. It's
Okay.
Grand Bahamian, I'll tell everybody.
So which part of you grew up in Freeport or 8 Mile Rock, or which part of Freeport?
Well, I grew up right in Habointown, right next to...
Okay, I know, yeah.
yeah.
That's right next to where you work.
Right next to where I work, right.
Yeah. I have a good friend from Habointown that worked the CMEX, Benson. You would know him?
Yes, man. Freddie Benson is a very
Fred,
good,
very
friend
good
of us.
guy. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's my boy too.
Yes,
Yeah.
very good guy.
Okay, so Chris, who were some of your childhood friends, your siblings? I mean, let the people know from whence you came, my friend.
All right, I grew up, like I said, I grew up in Habointown, right next to the boiling hole. Not
Right.
too far from where Bahama Rock purchased the property from Bahamas Cement and
That's
was
right.
located. But my childhood friend was Brian Burrows. He was my best friend.
What?
And
My good friend Brian?
yeah, good friend
you,
Brian.
You knew each other from way back.
We grew up together.
Oh, that's beautiful,
from
man.
baby.
Yeah, but so that mean you, because Brian is a smart fella.
Yeah.
You had him or he had you?
He had me like, just a skin off a teeth.
Skin of a teeth in the box. Okay, yeah, he used to study a lot than you. Okay, so you and Brian grew up together, and who were some of your siblings? You had siblings?
Well, my dad used to work for Bahama Cement.
Okay.
He worked there for many years. He was one
Right.
of the control tower supervisor at Bahama Cement.
Beautiful.
And then he moved to the United States, to West Palm Beach.
Right.
My mom, she was right from Habointown.
Right.
Originated from Waterkey.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
From Waterkey?
yes.
That's East End.
That's East End, right?
East End, West End. Okay. So she passed people and going up and down.
Yeah, well, back in the day during the contract days when
Right.
Pine Ridge was around, they used to stay in Pine Ridge after they moved from, my great-grandmother used to stay in Pine Ridge after moving from Waterkey.
Okay.
And then when the people relocate from Pine Ridge, they went to 8 Mile Rock and Seagrape and the rest of the settlements in the southern side of the west southern
Western
side
of the island.
of the island, right?
Okay. Siblings? You're the only child, or you got?
No, I have 5 brothers and 1 sister.
5 brothers. Boy, you nobody get. You were the oldest, or you?
Second, my oldest brother just died, just passed away
So
in February.
God bless his soul. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that. So you're the oldest brother now.
I'm the oldest brother now, yeah.
Okay.
I take the reign.
Yeah, that's excellent, man. Well, one thing you said, quite a good example for those to follow, and I'm sure they would know that.
Yes.
So, Chris, why did you choose to engage in aggregate mining activities?
To be honest, Joe, I think it chose me. Like I said, my
Your dad worked at Bahamas.
My dad worked at Bahamas Cement.
Which is now CMEX. Well, I mean, across the street, yeah.
Right. All that was Bahamas Cement, and then
Right.
CMEX bought out a portion of it, and then Bahama Rock bought out the other portion.
So they were making cement
They were making cement
and shipping it out.
And shipping it out.
That's why they have so many silos there.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
To just give you a good history of what Bahamas Cement did, I think we're jumping off what I was talking about. But anyhow, when they first started dredging the Freeport Harbor.
Right.
They accumulate a whole lot of
Aggregate.
Well, limestone
Mud.
that
Limestone mud.
that
Okay.
wasn't
Didn't have no use for it.
had no use for it, right?
Okay.
And that's how Bahamas cement came in.
Really? They use that to make cement?
That's what I was told. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yes, limestone is one of the main ingredients in the process of making cement. So,
Okay.
when Bahama Cement started making cement, they use up all the material that was dredged out of the harbor
And stockpiled
and stockpiled at
to
first.
make cement.
Right.
Okay.
And then after a while, Bahama Cement closed down. My dad moved to Palm Beach, and we ended up working at the Bahama Rock. What actually happened is one day I was walking to the highway to look for a job, to go to the town to look for a job.
Walking from Hebron Town?
I was walking from Hebron Town to the highway, the main highway to go into Freeport, which is Queens Highway.
Right. Yeah, because back then I remember the road went straight. It didn't come around Bahama Rock.
Right.
Right.
It
I was
straight.
around in them days. I used to come to Freeport from a little boy too.
Yeah.
I have little ideas. Okay, so you was walking toward the plant.
Well, yes, I was walking from the plant out to the highway, and then the general manager or plant manager at the time, he was driving and he saw me. He pulled over. He stopped right next to me. He said, "Young man, are you looking for a job?"
Wow.
I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Well, jump in my car."
Just like that.
Just like that.
So about how old were you then?
I was 18 years old at the time.
Oh, you finished school. You was good to go.
finished
You
school,
really
yes,
was looking for a job.
Yes.
And what did he do? He took you.
Well, what was happening at the time, they had an issue where they was getting ready to expand the harbor towards the east,
Right.
the southeast, the same area where the shipyard is right now.
Yeah.
But in that area, there was a lot of mud and mangroves and those things that were needed to be
wasn't
stripped.
solid. Yeah, they had to move them first.
So the material that they were producing at the time, it had a bunch of sticks from the mangrove roots in the pile.
So it wasn't too good for shipping.
They were having issues with the customer with the sticks in the pile.
Right.
So he hired me right there, and then he said, "Look, jump and put out my car." He took me down in the back by the plant, by the big old stockpile.
Right.
He gave me a 5-gallon bucket. He said,
Start picking out sticks.
"Start picking up sticks out the pile."
You serious? That was he hired you just to do that?
Right on the spot.
Wow. Was there anybody else doing that, or you was the first person?
They had a couple other guys there.
All right. You met them there?
I met them there, right.
Okay, wow.
But he didn't give me a hard hat. He didn't give me a suit, safety shoes. He didn't give me no glove, just one bucket, go up on the pile. That's how important it was to get the stick out at the time.
But you didn't need those things back in those days, eh?
Yeah, we didn't use them.
Only after you became educated, you realized you should have had those things.
Yeah, we didn't use them, but we needed them.
Yeah, okay.
So my day started right there.
That was the beginning.
That's the beginning of my
you
career.
and aggregate.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But afterwards, I worked my way up through the plant. From there.
So this gentleman was in charge of Bahama Rock at the time, or some other plant?
He was in charge. He was the plant manager. His name was Mr. Ernie Laundry.
So when did Bahama Rock start to do things in Freeport Harbor?
Actually, in 1987, I think, late 1987.
Oh, really?
1988.
From way back then, from the 80s?
Yes. I started there actually in 88.
So they were a established company back then. What were they really doing?
Right.
Were they exporting anything?
At the time, yes, they were crushing rock and exporting it to the eastern seaboard, United States. They one of their biggest customer was a power plant right there in Florida, and the power plant actually were taking the rock and grinding it down further, and using that in their scrubber to minimize the sulfur pollution at the time. But what was happening is the sticks wasn't grinding all the way down, so it was plugging up the scrubber.
Oh,
so
it was causing problems.
Right, so the power plant started to complain about the amount of sticks getting in the material, yes. And so they say, "Hey, look, either you all do some of this, or we're going to have to cut you off."
So they got to start picking them out.
So
So they didn't have a machine that could separate.
The funny thing about mangrove root, any other stick, if you put it in water, it would float. And most of the material that we wash, it goes inside.
Floats up, yeah.
It floats up. So they put in these screw tubs that they would put the rock in, and the wood's supposed to float out.
And the rock go down, yeah.
And the rock stay down and screw out. But what was happening is the mangrove root was just as heavy as the rock.
Going down as well.
So it was going down as well.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so they got over that problem. You now hired with Bahama Rock. What was your first main job with Bahama Rock after you get over that phase of picking out sticks?
Well, the thing about it is they realized that I was a quick learner, so they actually put me to run the screening plant, which is the washing plant that washed the rock.
Right.
So I was the operator.
So they had that there from back in the 80s?
Yeah,
Wow.
they had a screening plant. So I was operated there for a few months, and then they moved me from there, and then they put me to drive haul trucks. At the time, we were using those smaller haul trucks, like the 35 tons, and then we upgraded to the 60 tons. But my problem is I didn't like...
What is 60 tons is like what they have now? Because I know the difference between 30 and 60 ton truck.
The ones they have now is 100 tons.
Oh, they're huge.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were much smaller at the time.
Right.
But driving truck was never an interesting job to me. It's just back and forth. So
It's kind of boring.
yeah, it's boring to me.
Okay, so
So
what else
from
was
there, they moved me into a wheel loader. That's the loader that load the trucks.
Right.
And I work in that
You mean like the tractor
equipment.
that lowers the truck? When you say wheeler, okay, that's a tractor.
Y'all call everything a tractor.
But I don't know what is what.
A tractor is-
I want my listening guests to understand what you're talking about when you say wheeler.
When I say a wheel loader, that's mean a loader, a payloader on wheels.
Oh, okay. It's not on track.
It's not on
trailer.
tracks,
okay,
right?
It's on wheels.
So
yeah.
most of the things that are on track, we will call a tractor.
Oh, that's why they call it a tractor.
Right, because it's on a
What
track.
What on wheel? It still have the bucket and everything, but they call that a wheeler. A wheel
A wheel
loader.
loader, right.
Okay. So you started to drive those.
Yeah,
Was that more fun or?
it was more exciting than, as a matter of fact, it's one of my favorite machines to date. But it was more exciting than driving truck.
Right.
And then they brought in a hydraulic shovel, which is also a machine that loads the truck. And then they put me on that. Then I moved from that to the drag line.
You drove the drag line?
Yeah, I used to work
Yeah,
on the drag
Bahamians
line.
driving the drag line?
Bahamians are the only people on those machines right now. All Bahamian.
Oh no, I thought they had that specialized people driving the drag line.
When it first came in, they brought some people in from the States.
Well, let's say what the drag line is. The drag line is that big thing you see in the middle that rakes up all the big boulders and stuff and pile them up for the tractor to get and put on the truck.
To put it simply, is
Yeah.
the drag line is a huge crane with a bucket, a drag bucket
All right.
that pulls the material out of the ground and push it and stockpile it into a pile to be
And
dragged.
I hear that's an expensive equipment though, the drag line.
Well, all the equipment's that
I mean, I hear that's the most expensive they have.
that is the most expensive equipment. they have,
Yeah, I hear that costs like hundreds of millions. No,
No,
oh, ain't that bad.
no.
It ain't like a ship then.
No.
Okay.
Drag line's not that expensive.
They had me fooled then. I thought it cost plenty money.
It costs a lot of money for me and you, but I mean, for those
Yes,
big
yes,
companies, it's not that expensive.
So you drive the drag line. So you drive basically all equipment they have at some point.
To be honest, with you, I work in every department in the company.
Every department, not only every equipment, but every department.
Every department.
Except accounts.
Except accounts. Well, you don't have accounts locally.
You don't have like an accounts department. You have an accountant, but not an accounts department.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
Yeah.
I understand.
All the accounting was done.
Okay. So you went from, we call it, you come up through the horse pipe in maritime. If you start at the very bottom on board a ship and you work your way up to the captain, they say, well, or an officer, they said, that one came through the horse pipe.
Well,
He's a horse piper. That's kind of what you did then.
I'm a horse piper, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you got any extensive training, like outside of the country, to deal with this type of thing, or all of your training came on site?
Well, when they promoted me to a manager, but just before they promoted me to be a foreman.
Foreman, yeah.
Yeah, they sent me to the United States for about 9 months
Oh, that's a
in
long
this
time.
management associate program.
Oh, so it wasn't training on any equipment or anything?
No, this was
Just preparing you to be a manager?
exactly right.
Were you the first manager with Bahama Rock that was Bahamian, or there was some before you?
There was some before me. I was the first official Bahamian assistant plant manager.
That's what I mean. So there was no other assistant plant manager?
No.
You were the only one to reach that level?
With that title, yes.
And that's why you're the big guru in the room, Chris. Because you're the man who you held a position. I don't know of any other Bahamian who probably would have, but you was there from day one, and you work hard, and that's why you know so much about. I'm going to open the phone lines in a minute, but before I open the phone lines, we got to talk a little bit more about this Aragonite.
Yeah, we got to talk a lot about the limestone and the
Limestone.
Aragonite.
Let's talk about limestone first. What is limestone?
Well, limestone actually is a sedimentary rock. that is which main compound. I didn't mess that up. But anyway, it's a sedimentary rock, which are composed mostly of aragonite and calcite.
Well, limestone have a lot of aragonite in it.
To put it simple, limestone is aragonite and calcite, along with some other minerals, infused
Right.
and strengthened to the point where it turned into a rock.
Okay, so that's limestone. We got a call on the line, but I want to get this clear. I want to clear this up. But caller, we coming to you in a minute. Please don't hang up. So that's basically limestone. It turns into rock, but it's made up of a couple things like aragonite, calcite, and some other components.
Right.
And they all form that rock.
Right. It fused together and form a rock. And it's basically like if you put something on top of one and then keep compressing it.
Right.
It like fused together, pressing so tight that it fused together.
That's what make it
And that's
a rock.
That's what make it a rock.
Okay, so that's why it's not so hard to break it down if you have the right the right equipment.
Right. All the Bahama Islands.
Right. Have limestone.
Are
But they
made-
always
are
talk
made
in
up of
school, the
limestone.
Bahamas is made up of limestone.
Limestone, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
limestone, coral, and all the rest of that good stuff.
Right.
But so I was quite aware that, but most Bahamians should be quite aware that limestone is the source of our rock.
Right.
So we'll go to Aragonite, but let me just get this caller. Although we open the lines yet, we'll start calling. Okay, the number to call, 326 8255. That's 326 8255. We're going to take this first caller, and anybody else, you can line them up. We're going to get into this topic, and we're going to keep moving pretty deeply. Caller, you reach Maritime Matters. Thank you very much for calling. Please.
Captain Dan, I called to challenge you on those great mariners that you announced at the beginning. Because I noticed all of them were deck personnel, right?
That's right.
All were deceased, right?
Yes, sir.
I want to name two names that you probably know very well, but not consider. One is Theo Devaney, who is a naval architecture by trade, but is doing some great things in the maritime sector.
Yes.
And the second one is Captain Dwayne Hutchison, who now heads the Bahamas Maritime Authority in London. Right? He too is doing some very good things in the maritime sector. So I think you need to give kudos to those who are currently doing work within the maritime sector who are excellent mariners. Not all serve on the deck. Some serve in the engines, and some serve in the, as Theo is, a naval architect.
Well, I served side by side with both Dwayne and Theo.
I know.
And I can tell you that they are definitely great people in maritime. And I'm sure that time will come. But they got a long way to go because they got to catch me up first. So,
He in particular has done an extraordinary job in a short lifespan so far.
yeah, I agree. And like I tell you, Theo came on board from the Defense Force just like I did. And he and I worked shoulder to shoulder, and he went to London and he did well. And he worked for Lloyd's Register for a while. And he is a naval architect, and he's very busy with those ship inspections and audits on board those ships and whatnot. And I know exactly what he does. You know how busy he is. He and I are still very close. So I don't think he's ready to go on the list among the. I don't think he's a household name as yet. Let's put it that way. These four are household names, eh?
True.
So when he become that household name, we will start putting him on this list.
But Captain, there will be a lot of mariners who will never become household names, right?
But these ones.
Who is not a mariner but has made over contributions to the maritime sector.
Well.
And then I can call the name before I hang up that and call you the cut a little bit. J.M. Jones.
No, John Mervyn Jones is a good. No. Well, of course, he's not a Bahamian, first of all.
No, he's not
and he was
contribution to the Bahamas maritime sector.
Yeah, but the Bahamas Maritime Authority ain't do the job it's supposed to do, and they ain't doing it yet. So I'm not too impressed with that. You see what you're telling me? I don't know how well you know me and how much I know about the Bahamas and how much I know about the Bahamas Maritime Authority. They have yet. Yeah, but they have yet to do what they should be doing in the Bahamas. So I'm not going to give them any kudos until they do that.
They could do a lot more to promote maritime.
Not to promote maritime, to ensure that we have safety on our local vessels, to ensure that local vessels get what you call a local safety certificate as enacted to do so. And none of that is happening. So you don't want to start me up with that. We got another show on that. But right now we're talking about Aragonite. I got Mr. Chris CULMER here, a very, very astute Bahamian who has come a long way in aggregate mining. And I want him to explain to us all the details of this Aragonite that we keep hearing about. Do you have anything on Aragonite tonight?
No, tonight, sir.
Well, I thank you so much for calling and for putting kudos to do. Now, remember, I'm not a big fan of Bahamas Maritime Authority for the simple reason that I know they're doing their job, not in the Bahamas. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, sir. Yeah, Chris. Yeah, you just tell us what limestone is all about. And you said that, it's made up of the sulfide, aragonite, and some other commodities. And, of course, later they pile up on, and then they turn into big rock, which is fine. And then the whole Bahamas, as we said, is made up of limestone. You go in the back of your yard and you dig deep enough, you can see limestone at some point.
Well, yes.
Right?
Yes.
And let's talk, before we get into the aragonite side of things, I know you're not a big aragonite because you really never dealt directly with aragonite outside of the limestone. But you all break those limestone up into boulders initially. Yeah, based on what I know about Bahama rock, you actually drill holes very deep, and then you put explosive on primer quarter. I don't know, maybe you could explain to us some of the details of how you go about actually breaking the limestone for the drag line to be able to pull it up.
All right, let me just let you know that limestone mining is a very complex operation.
Okay.
A lot of people don't realize, how much money it takes just to get into that business.
But that's why I got you here, my brother. I want you to let us know, because I'm sure they're cheap, but let us know.
Yeah, the first thing, even after you done get all your approvals and you get the land and everything, the first thing you got to do is you got to clear the land and take all the organic material off of the land and find somewhere to put it.
Oh.
You have to actually strip the land down to bare rock.
Bare limestone.
Bare limestone. You got to take all the
But how do you do that with the tractors and with? How do you do that?
Well, they use dozers, excavators. If you have like little swampy areas, you got to pull all the mud out and make sure I get it out of the limestone.
To get to the hard rock.
Right.
Okay.
And then you got to fill in wherever need to be filling before you even get to the blasting. Wow. Then after you then strip the land down, you got to take a drill. At this point, they're drilling down about 80 feet.
80 feet down in the earth?
Yep.
But you pass the water table, or?
Yes, they pass the water table. The water table in Freeport is only like maybe 10.
Oh, so you're able to pass the water table.
Yeah. So you drill these holes in the ground. You drill a drill pattern.
Right.
With a series of holes.
Or you drill more than one hole?
Yeah, you drill. Most patterns have like about 40. You go up to 100.
40 holes?
Yes.
Just before they do the blasting?
Yes, and then you load explosives in those holes.
In each hole?
Each hole. You set up your blasting sequence on how the hole is going to go off.
Right.
And then you got to shoot the rock. That's just the first portion. I mean, before you even get a rock out of the ground, you can spend about $7 a cubic yard. That's before you even get a rock out of the ground.
I know what is a cubic yard, right? What a cubic yard, like a 5-gallon bucket? I mean, I'm trying to...
Yeah, if you get a cubic yard is 1 by 1 by 1.
Oh, 1 meter or 1 feet?
Huh?
1 foot or 1 meter?
No, 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. Sorry. Yes.
Oh, meter.
Yeah.
Okay, because a meter is like 3 feet.
Right. And
so you're looking like a 3-foot square cube.
Right.
Okay, so and that will cost how much? $7?
That's yes.
And that's just rock.
That's just breaking the rock. That's how much it costs, and that's what it's averaging right now. Back in the day was.
But that's to break it. That ain't to put it in the crusher and do all that.
That ain't even need to pull it out of the ground yet. Then after you get the rock break, then the drag line now. The drag line, the same machine that we talk about,
right?
That look like
that,
a crane.
That got to bring it up
With a bucket.
Right.
That goes there and it scoop the material up.
Mm-hmm.
And then put it in the stockpile.
Right.
Now the material got to dry.
Oh, you can't leave it wet.
You got to dry it as much as you can.
Okay.
And after dry, then the haul trucks and the loader come in. The haul trucks, the loader would take it and load it onto the haul trucks.
Right.
The haul truck would load it, would haul it up to the crusher, which is
That big machine.
the big machine that break all the big boulders down.
Right. And some bowlers you send out just as is, eh?
Yeah, some boulders.
So some people want bowlers.
Yeah, they keep it on the side for people that need big boulders for
Okay.
jetty.
So you crush this into, after the crushes and all those sips, filtration finish, you get different products.
Right.
What are some of these products?
Well, there are many different grades of limestone grades of aggregate that are being produced within the Bahamas.
Right.
When I was at Bahama Rock, we was producing about 6 to 8 different grades of limestone.
You could walk us through what they like. How could we? Because I'm sure we would know what these things look like if we see them.
Right. Everybody call one of the grade P-Rock.
P-rock.
But
They
they-
got 3/4 and they got what? A
Right.
quarter?
Everybody say P-Rock. P-Rock actually is a clean stone, which means that it was washed and then screened down. First it was crushed, it
Right.
was washed, and then screened down to whatever size P-Rock you want.
And it's the same limestone.
It's the same limestone, right?
Okay.
So we were making 67 stone, which is 3/4 rock. We were making 57 stone, which is about 1.5 inches.
Oh, that's a big one.
And then we was making 89 stone, which is like a 3/8, and then sand. And then they would crush the material down into 1.5 inch, just base, unwashed material. And then they make other products like riprap, 2x4s, boulders.
What do you mean 2x4s? Out of rock?
When I say 2x4s, the rock is 2 inches by 4 inches big.
But it's not long like a 2x4.
No, 2 inches by 4 inches.
Square.
Yeah, I mean
it's-
don't be
it's-
square, but
But it ain't long like the lumber.
no, it ain't be long like a 2x4, but
All right.
that's when it's a 2x4, they use those type of rock for different applications.
Okay, cool.
Some people use it as a ballet, maybe on some of the train tracks in the States, they would use it as
Oh,
ballet.
it's more like a rectangular thing.
Yeah, and then some people just use it as a material for filtration. Like if you got a sway in the ground and you just want water to run through the sway, you would put like a coarse rock so that the water wouldn't hang up in between the rocks and be able to flow.
Okay, so that's calcium, and what calcium does is broken down into P-rocks and boulders and
That's limestone, not calcium. That's limestone.
sorry, that's limestone. But
It's broken down
It has
into-
some calcium, carbonate. What do you say? Carbide.
Yeah, calcium, carbonate, calcium.
Right.
Base, right.
Okay, and that could be broken down into 7, 8 different commodities that is really used in construction, eh?
Right.
Okay.
Now, most of the P-rocks, if you want me to continue,
Yeah, I with you.
yeah, most of the P-rocks are generally used in the construction industry, mainly for concrete.
Yeah.
So all of the companies that around here that has a batching plant that batches cement,
Yeah.
they love the limestone because, cement is made from lime. So whenever you are making concrete with limestone, you don't have to add as much cement than if you're making it with a different type of stone like granite or any other hard
Okay.
stone.
So they actually use limestone to make cement as well.
Yes, that's what Bahama Cement did back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so, but most of that's like the sand particles that they would use for cement. They break it all the way down. Or
Well, yeah. Whenever they making cement, cement.
they probably break it down even finer because cement finer than
Exactly.
sand.
They turn it into powder.
Okay,
Actually,
right.
But cement
That's
is a
right.
powder.
It is a powder, yeah.
And then what they got to do with it after they bring it down to a powder form, they put it in a kiln and burn it.
Or heat it up.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's limestone. Now, well, let's talk a little bit about Aragonite, the big dog in the house that we had so much controversy over the years as far as how much the Bahamas need to make out of this Aragonite we have or how much we could make out of this Aragonite we have. Now, what really is Aragonite?
Well, Aragonite actually is a calcium carbonated mineral that is found in the shallow waters of the Bahamas. And you can find it in other parts of the world too, but mainly the Bahamas is one of the top area that produces
Aragonite.
high calcium carbonate.
High
aragonite.
quality Aragonite.
Yes.
So Bahamas, because of what the way our seabed is, or
The thing about it is because we have a lot of shallow waters.
a lot of banks, yeah.
A lot of banks. The warming of the water causes a precipitation that spur a crystal,
Okay.
iron crystal, that connect to the calcium carbonate,
Okay.
and then it turn into aragonite. People see aragonite every day and don't realize it is aragonite. Aragonite actually is just ocean sand. It's just sand out of the ocean.
So once you get sand out of the ocean, that has a lot of aragonite in it.
That is aragonite.
That is aragonite.
That is aragonite.
So you don't have different grades of aragonite.
No. Well, I would say you have different grades, but you have a type of aragonite called oolitic aragonite. And oolitic aragonite is it takes its name from the shape of the grain.
Okay.
So if you get a piece of oolitic aragonite and you put it under a microscope and look at it, it will look like a egg or a pearl or something.
That's one grain.
Very beautiful.
One grain would be. Yeah.
One grain, yeah.
So that wouldn't be fine where aragonite is normally, where salt, sand in the sea is normally. I mean, is that something you got to look for? Is that something that is in all aragonite that you find in the sea? Or
Well, all aragonite is basically the same, but I'm just saying, I just differentiate the oolitic aragonite because it has a shape that is unique to it. So people would classify it as oolitic, but all of them have the same amount of calcium carbonate in it.
Okay.
But the oolitic just has this shape that customers would prefer to work with because it's the shape of it make it easy to process.
Right. Now I know we have this company in Ocean Key called Marcona Industries that I would have had the opportunity to engage back in the early 80s, 82, 83. They were there from the 70s. But after I joined the Defense Force, we went into Ocean Key for fuel. And we went and did just a play, shoot pool, because they had a team of people there. They cooked good food, and then they had the little bears and whatnot. So, we been to sea for a little while. You just want to go in and catch yourself, get some fuel. And sometimes we stay overnight. But Marcona Industries back then, they dealt with a lot of mining because they had two big dredges. They had a lot of big tugboats. They stockpile a lot of that stuff. They had big ships coming to the dock and take them out every other week or two. So I'm just wondering if they were shipping aragonite, there must be a market for this aragonite, first of all. And it must have been paying some bills for them to keep doing it. But at some point, they were more than eager to sell that key to AES.
Yeah, aragonite has the same application as some of the application as limestone. It can be used in concrete. It could be used in manufacturing glass and steel and the rest of the manufacturing companies that use it. But it also has another special, because it has such a high calcium carbonate, it also can be used in the agriculture industry as more like a fertilizer for the plants. And the thing about it is, most of the farmers in the United States, they love the aragonite to put on their farm land when they till it. And because, it's much easier to use than fertilizer, because once you put the fertilizer down, the fertilizer would work its way into the ground all at one time, and then you got to re-fertilize it. But when you put the aragonite down on the ground takes the nutrient from the aragonite as it's needed, so you don't really have to keep on going back and. So that is one of the.
It keeps the ingredient longer and it stays on top instead of just going down.
Right, as the ground needed, it would just it automatically just take it from the.
So they use aragonite also as fertilizer.
Yes.
Okay.
They also use it in
I had to use seaweed for fertilizer sometimes, but I didn't know they did that. They could have done that with aragonite.
Yes, and they also use it in animal feed. They use it to make animal feed because like I said, if you want your chicken eggs to be nice and strong, I mean the shell of the chicken eggs,
Right.
they would put calcium inside the chicken feed.
Okay.
And
So,
make
so
the
the
eggs
Aragonite
stronger.
gives that calcium.
And give it the calcium, right? And
Right.
they give it to the cows and for
Right.
whatever reason. So the Aragonite have a little bit more benefit than the limestone.
Right. Because it has that high end calcium that can be used for other things.
But the problem with it is most of the farmland is way up in the middle of the United States, and then the transporting it there made it much too more.
Or the cost for transporting it.
made it couldn't compete with the regular fertilizer.
Okay.
So that's why the farmers really never took it the way.
It costs them more to have it.
Yes.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Maritime Matters. My special guest tonight, Mr. Chris CULMER, the guru on aggregate mining in the Bahamas. He used to be an assistant general plant manager at Bahama Rock, and he's here to share with us tonight, what it's like to mine these things and what type of returns and that type of thing. Because there seems to be a myth out there that if you mine Aragonite, or the people the entities that mine Aragonite makes a whole heap of money from it. And the government or the Bahamian people are not getting our fair share. And, we want to dispel this myth. And I really hope that some of these people who basically put this out there would make contact with us so that, we can have a cordial conversation and really, get to the bottom of this so that, I didn't have a clear understanding until I engaged Mr. CULMER some weeks back, and he told me exactly how it worked as far as his involvement and as far as he knows. And I also know about Marcona Industries in Ocean Key, the fact that they were so eager to give up that key. If it was so valuable, I don't know why they would give it up after some 20, 30 years. So eagerly, the AES, who really wasn't into mining Aragonite, they never mined 1 ounce of Aragonite while they were there for the 3 years. And I know that because I was there with them. So tonight, you can call in. Feel free to call in. Our numbers to call are 326, our number 326-8255. You can call in and engage discussion with us on this topic. Again, we have Chris here. So Chris, nobody seems to want to challenge us yet.
Not
so
yet.
Let's keep talking.
Yeah, all right. Let me just tell you how Aragonite is mined, because we just spoke about how complex limestone is to mine.
That's right.
But Aragonite is not as complex as limestone. It still entails a whole lot of capital to get started in the business.
Right.
It takes specialized equipment to harvest the Aragonite in a way that it is sustainable. And some of the companies here in the Bahamas would mining it right now. I think they could do a better job.
I'm not sure we have companies that mine Aragonite for export outside of Marcona, because you say Bahama Rock doesn't mine Aragonite.
Yeah, but you got some of the small companies like Tycoon.
Yeah, but they basically, Tycoon management, I don't think they ever focus on Aragonite. They mainly focus on sand, because we need the sand for construction.
But Aragonite is sand.
No, but I'm saying it was not a focus to say they're mining Aragonite to use Aragonite out of the sand.
Yeah, but the point I want to make is the fact that if
like Marcona in Ocean Key, I think their aim was Aragonite as opposed to sand.
Right.
And they set up to mine Aragonite, and I always knew that this is the place where they mine Aragonite. But when you talk about Tycoon, and you gotta remember Tycoon stemmed from when the Bahamas government used to mine sand for all the construction in New Providence, right?
Yeah.
And they kept it at Malcolm Park. And then the government decided they're going to get out of the business. And then Sir David Knowles, with his tugs and I think he bought some equipment from the government, and he bought some additional equipment, and he started to mine it. And eventually Tycoon was mining it along, and now, so it's the same when the government was doing it sort of for construction purposes. Now, there may be instances in where that stuff may be shipped out of the country. Now, I'm not sure it's being shipped out to be used as sand to replenish beaches, or whether it's shipped out to be used as Aragonite to make glass.
Yeah. All right. No, the point I want to make, I ain't talking about, the reason why they ship it. The point I want to make actually is the Bahamas have billions of tons of Aragonite.
That's what I would say, because we got a lot of banks.
We got a lot of banks, right?
Right.
Billions.
And when you move that today, it's right back there tomorrow. That's what I understand from the people who actually engage those barges and tugs.
That was my next point. Every day, through the precipitation,
right?
Hundreds of millions of our
Molecules are made.
Right. So it's very regenerable.
Yeah.
Very regenerable.
But how valuable is it out in the real world? I mean, for example, why doesn't anybody do it now in large scale from the Bahamas if the Bahamas have more Aragonite than most countries in the world? Or all countries in the world, because we got so much banks.
Well, I think part of the reason is the fact that the government don't know how to. I
don't expect the government to do it.
But they have to regulate it.
But the government can regulate it. But what I'm saying is if there's a demand for it out in the outside world, if there's a big demand for this Aragonite, right? Why don't we have 10 companies doing it in the Bahamas right now to feed the demand? It doesn't appear to me that there's such a big demand for Aragonite.
I think there's a demand for it. But I think the main issue is getting the approval or getting the permitting to mine it.
Well, I mean, I know people that have approval, and I don't think they have a market. I don't know the market. I don't know if there's a market out there, because what I find in this country is if somebody wants something out of the Bahamas, they will come in, they will get it. They may have to pay some money here and do some things here, but if they need it, there will be somebody will be put in a position to supply that need.
I don't think it is as that as with the Aragonite. I think because it's a natural resource, the government have that kind of guarded. And
why would the government guard it if it's so plentiful? It doesn't make sense to me that the government will guard something that is out there like water. I mean, it's everywhere. Why would the government guard that if the country can make money from it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I really can't answer that
so
one.
I
can let you know there is a demand for it. I can tell you that.
But where is the demand? Which part of the world wants it?
United States, Europe.
You just said that United States, the farmers didn't even want it anymore because it had to be transported so far to get to them. So what?
But there's many applications.
What do they want to do with it? There are many applications for it, but there may be other sorts of things they could use, because if they needed it, they obviously would be prepared to come and get it. Because I can tell you that when Ocean Key was sold to AES, 3.5 years later, when AES got out, what they came to do was set up a regasification plant to send gas by pipeline from Ocean Key into Florida, right? That scheme didn't work out. I think had something to do with the politics in Florida, but that didn't work out. And AES sold the key to some local Bahamians, and I don't think they sold it for a lot of money, but they sold it because they were leaving, and those local Bahamians were trying to galvanize what Marcona was doing, right? But it was just not enough demand for them to do what they needed to do. I don't know what the demand is, but I'm sure they checked out the market, because these were people who know how to do business. They checked out the market and realized it probably wasn't feasible to do it. You see, and this is the myth I want to stamp out of these the people who are trying to, who I think are putting out things that are misleading. In my opinion, I got a call on the line. Caller, I'm going to get to you in a minute. If Aragonite was so sought after or so valuable, all of these entities wouldn't leave it alone. Because Marcona would have never gotten out of the business, eh?
I agree.
Let me just see what the caller has to say. Caller, you on Maritime Matters. Thank you very much for calling.
Good night, Captain B. And how are you and your guest?
Oh, I'm in top shape, my friend. My guest is in better shape than I am. And how are you?
Oh, wonderful. I'm happy that you said that, because I know you to be an excellent master boater. I don't know you to be an excellent Aragonite miner.
Well, I don't know much about Aragonite. What I know is Ocean Key used to do it, and my expert, my local expert here, gave me a lot of information prior to the show, and I'm just trying to dig into it so that I can get a better appreciation, so that the Bahamian people, the listening audience, can get.
Yeah, but see, I don't want you to lead in a court situation to say badger the witness. I want you to allow him to let us know what he knows.
Yes, sir.
We already know out here in the general public over the years that something like Aragonite, there are shell companies set up that take that Aragonite from the Bahamas at the lowest cost and then sell it to themselves. See, we already know that.
Yes, sir.
It ain't make no sense in us trying to pretty this thing up after 50 years. Like you say, they've been mining Aragonite for 100 years, and ain't nobody mined nothing for 100 years if it ain't value something. You understand that? The persons involved in that and in Freeport have their market cornered. They some selfish people, and they the people who won't get around and after the thing too. So they ain't allow too much other persons to come in and deal with that. You understand? So what I would like for you to do is go barge the witness, let that man say what he got to say, and we can come to our own conclusion. Oh yeah, thanks for taking my call.
I would choose, sir. Any questions on the technicality? Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, okay, call, I appreciate your call. Oh, we got 2 more lines lit up. Producer, 3 or 4, number 3 first. Okay, we go to line 3 and see what...
Hello.
Hello, you're on Maritime Matters, sir. Thank you very much for calling.
You can hear me?
Loud and clear, my friend, loud and clear.
Pleasant good evening to you and your guest.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My concern is listening to you. I didn't catch all of your show, but it appears you're saying John is a man, John wears a hat, all men wear a hat. True or false? Obviously it's false. You don't have all the facts, nor does your Mr. CULMER have all the facts. None of you all can show trend analyses on exports and how much it was worth. You don't have it. And so the last column made a lot of sense. You talked about somebody doing something for 27 years and got out of the business. Maybe that was a subjective decision they made. They saw where they stood advantage. It didn't mean that they weren't making money. When the Coalition of Independents talked about the Aragonite, they talked about 50 billion tons being consumed or utilized on an annual basis. Those are the facts. And so when you look at that, you can't say that there's not a demand. Also, too, when we looked at it, we were considering the $2 trillion that the United States government and the President Biden was looking at in terms of developing infrastructure and that sort of thing, and capitalizing on their need for sand. And I keep hearing CULMER tell you it's sand, and you keep thinking that this Aragonite is a different form of sand, and he's telling you and he's telling you because of its shape, molecular shape, that has some variance. The Bahamas has the best grade of Aragonite in the world. All right, there are many uses for it, you know. And we're not even touching on the glass on your watch, on your cell phone. All of that contains Aragonite, my friend. And so there is a demand for it. And there are people out there that are selling it. And we provided proof of that. And they're making a pretty penny. Now, I just wanted you to understand that you have a good show. I believe that you believe in what you're saying. But for you to put it out there as if you're dispelling a myth without having the facts, you may be perpetrating a scheme by the persons who want to keep it to themselves. You see, so you don't want to be used in that way. When you have a show like this, you need to say, bring the facts. I mean, the Ministry of Finance should have it. They were exporting, customs should have it. All right? The same way we know what Bahama was doing. And so when you bring the facts to the people, then you can say what the market over there globally. Trend analysis over the last 5 years, they moved from 30 to 40 to 50 billion tons on an annual basis, and at a dollar value of XYZ. And then we could say what amount of that are we going to penetrate, and how we plan on penetrating that without creating a market shock in terms of a new business coming into it. But I also know that these people are selling to themselves because of where I worked in government. I saw facts to that. I can't speak about it on radio, but I do know that this has a value. And so for me to listen, I don't really call talk shows with my friend. I rarely ever do call this. But listening on my way home, hearing you talk, I said, now, wait a minute, man. This guy, his show before the Maritime show, he's a very intelligent guy, but right now, he's not dealing with quantitatives. You see? And then you're passing it off as fact. I just wanted to share that with you. That's my view, and those are my opinions.
Well, my brother, I appreciate your call 1,000 times. I yield. I'm no professional in this matter. That's why I have the local area expert. But what I do know, sir, and I'll just say this, and I'm not trying to get out of anything, because I agree with all what you said, first of all. But what I'm trying, see, what I do know is that based on what the expert told me, Bahama Rock does not mine Aragonite. I also know that Makona Industries mined Aragonite for decades, and they were eager to get out of the business when they sold that key to Makona Industries, when they sold it to AES to do the regasification plant. And I also know that a couple of years later, AES, because the arrangement they had with the U.S. didn't work out, they got out of Ocean Key, and they sold it to some local Bahamians who tried to regenerate the mining of Aragonite, and they just left it alone after a while because they thought it was not feasible to them. So this is what I'm talking about.
I'm aware of all of that, and our sand, Aragonite, Aragonite, was used to help depleted beaches in the United States after a number of hurricanes. So they made some money from exporting it over there. That much I could tell you. And I'm saying to you simply this: the fact that one person got out of it after 27 years, you have to ask, what was the 27 years worth? I mean, who would be in a business, what business model would allow you to be in it for 27 years and not earn any money or not make a profit? That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm more concerned about the 27 years they stood in it as opposed to them eager to get out, because they may have determined based on their profits, make a margin over the years, they didn't need that anymore because of the cost. They may have found other ventures that had a lower break even. And so, I mean, you just can't say it like that. That's what I'm saying to you. Now, the other guy who you call Tycoon, and I don't want to call anybody's name, whoever's behind that, again, we don't know if they had the ability to put off the deal, so whether people wanted to do business with them. I don't know. But I don't know if 1 equals 2 in that case. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying to you.
Yeah, but
because I could say to you, 50 billion tons are being used. And so it has to come from somewhere. China accreted 4,600 square miles of land using sand. Other countries are doing it. We saw it right here with Niagara Key. And so and it's happening right on in the United States and very near us. And so there are so many things I can share with you, but I'm saying to you, we need to stay fact with fact. The fact that you know that they left, and you assume that because of maybe some knowledge you had with one of the persons at Makona or whatever you, and they may have shared some stuff, but that doesn't say it's not profitable. That doesn't speak to the 50 billion metric tons that's being used annually. And Bahama Rock, like you said, they don't have no historical data or analysis on that, because that's not a product that they deal in. So what he is sharing with us as a Bahamian public is his knowledge, as limited as it may be. It's some good knowledge, but it is not the entire picture. That's all I'm saying.
Well, my friend, I am so happy you called in to shed that light on this topic, and I cannot knock anything you said, because like I said to you, I am only going on what I know from a layman perspective. I have no idea about mind you, I've seen some figures, but I can't, I'm not into all that. I'm a ship captain, and that's what I do.
I was with the Coalition of Independence. I know what it is we were putting out there, and the research was done, and so and I dare anybody to challenge the research that was done and what Mr. Bain and others put out there, because it was based on fact.
I agree.
And so that's all I'm saying, and I don't want to impede another person's opportunity to contribute. I think you've given me a lot of time, and I'm grateful for that. God bless you, Shoma. my brother. Continue to do well.
I thank you so much for your call, my friend, and you take care of yourself.
Yes, sir.
Roger. Okay, we got a call on line 4. I call you on Maritime Matters. We apologize that you had to wait so long. We trust that you were listening in. I'm pleased.
I'm happy about that. I was listening with interest, and you said the gentleman is Christopher CULMER.
That's correct, sir.
Right, yeah, I'd like to talk to him. I'm going to leave my name and number with the producer at the end of this, when I finish speaking.
Beautiful.
Because I'd like to get him to say he's an expert in this business about Aragonite.
No, well, he's an expert in dealing with
Limestone.
aggregate, mainly limestone. He worked for Bahama Rock for many years, and they, according to him, they deal with limestone only.
He would have some valuable information that could shed light on a number of things.
Yes, sir.
The thing is, Easton was the wings of man. Easton doesn't exist anymore.
That's right. I remember Easton.
And they used to fly all over the world.
That's right.
But the thing is that there may be specific reasons for why a company goes out of business. We may not have all the facts. And another thing in this country is, I want to quote something from the Constitution
Yes, sir.
of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, because we pay little attention to the Constitution. And I'd like for the government to explain to the Bahamian people when there's one sentence in that Constitution which makes a big difference in our lives. The executive authority of the Bahamas is vested in Her Majesty the Queen. Now it's vested in His Majesty the King.
That is correct. And
What does that mean?
I want to extend a little bit on that.
The Bahamas has not advised the Bahamian people as it relates to this massive abundance of natural resources. All kinds of secret things been going on for decades. Nothing was ever brought to the house. You know anything brought to the House of Assembly and made public to the Bahamian people? There have been those who had to research things to find information, because the government of the Bahamas has not been honest with the Bahamian people to let them really know what's in this country. And that has been unfair for 56 years since majority rule up to next January the 10th. That's unfair to the Bahamian people, because the Bahamian people ought to share in the bounties of what is in the country, not just for a few individuals. And unfortunately, that has been the case. Trying to get information from sources in the government, I can tell you from 50 years experience, it's very difficult. People just like to hide information, don't want to cooperate, don't want to assist. It is important that we have agencies of the state that collect the people's money to work for the Bahamian people, and they give you a rough time. And they keep turning you round and round and round. But you have to be very persistent if you want to get anything done.
Yes, sir.
And so I can understand the Bahamians who wanted to get into the business had some difficulties. I can understand all of that, because I know how wicked
Right.
the system has been toward us.
That's right.
We're genuine Bahamians. But yet at the same time, you see strangers and foreigners and aliens and outsiders walking into this country and getting things done. Who are they contacting? So the government of the Bahamas isn't being honest with the Bahamian people. Before the PLC came to power in '67, this crap been going on from UBP days, and even before then. And nothing has ever been brought to that House of Assembly. It's supposed to be the business, the people's house. Nothing has been discussed. Nothing has been made public. So that should tell you where their head is. But I'll leave my name and number. The producer could take it, and I would like to get in touch with the gentleman if I may.
Yes, sir.
That'd be fine.
Okay.
I'll be happy to. Well, you know, your voice is not a fresh or new voice to me or hardly anybody in this country, because you call all the talk shows and you always the guru on the Constitution. And for that, sir, I respect you and I listen to you all the time. And you made a statement about the hierarchy of the Bahamas being the Queen and now King Charles III.
Yes.
And you know, in one of my previous shows, I actually brought to light that our commander-in-chief is actually the hierarchy in England.
But it can't be anything
And
else.
our commander-in-chief is the person that would decide whether our military will go to war or not. We may only have a defense force, but you know, you have HMBS ships, you have HM prisons, you have HM police force, you have HM customs. Everything is HM. His Majesty
And
or Her
I'm
Majesty.
That's why you see one sentence in that Constitution. The executive authority of the Bahamas is vested in Her Majesty the Queen. Ain't saying nothing about no government.
That's
Ain't
right,
nothing
sir.
about no prime minister.
Well, I did
The
notice.
government of Bahamas explained that in detail to the Bahamian people. They've never done it in 56 years.
Yeah, but I think Bahamian people are realizing that now more than then, and I'm sure we'll come to. But well, let me try and get back to the maritime stuff here. But Mr. CULMER will certainly be happy to give you a call once he gets your number. You want him to call you tonight or tomorrow morning?
Can I leave it to the producer?
At some point tomorrow. Yes, sir. Please go right ahead. We're gonna put you on hold.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Hello. Good night. You're on Maritime Matters.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Good night to you. You're on Maritime Matters.
Good night, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm in top shape, my friend, and getting better all the time. How are you?
I'm great. I was listening to your show. You made some valid points concerning the maritime and some of the Aragonite and some of the myths about Aragonite. Okay, and let me just touch on quantity and quality. Okay.
Yes, sir.
But the quantity that the myth that they're shipping billions of tons of Aragonite over the Bahamas every year is a myth, because if you're going to ship billions of tons of Aragonite over the Bahamas every year, do you know how much ship that is? You have to take it over the Bahamas.
That's right. You have to mine it first. I mean, nobody's mining Aragonite for the purpose of Aragonite. People are mining sand and limestone, but not Aragonite. Like the only company that really did that on a large scale was Makona Industries, and they've been long gone.
And even with companies that size, they cannot mine no billions of tons.
I agree.
Let me give you a perfect example. Bahamas use those big cargo ships.
Right.
And each of those cargo ships sold about 40 to 50,000 tons.
That's
and
it.
Each
Chris.
40 to 50,000 tons.
Metric tons, yes.
He's talking about 40 to 50,000 tons on one of those big ships. You can imagine how much of those ships would take to move a few billion tons.
Well, I don't think we mine enough Aragonite in the Bahamas, and they had a full one of those ships.
That's a misconception. At Bahamas, on that top peak of mining, when they ship about 6 to 7 million tons a year.
Yeah, but none of that is Aragonite. That's all limestone.
I'm just using that's limestone. And this is not Aragonite. So you can imagine what it would take, and an amount of ship it would take to ship that amount of Aragonite out of the country. People, they don't understand it, and you have people spreading the wrong information, which is sad. And even now let me go to the price. The prices of Aragonite. What the Bahamas does is they produce raw Aragonite. We just go there and we just get the raw material.
Right.
What the guys are doing now, they're going online and look at the finished product prices, which probably is going to be about $220 a ton. But the raw material itself is only about $40 a ton.
Right.
$50 a ton.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a processing plant in the Bahamas that after you go there and you get the raw material and you process it. The processing plant is in the United States.
That's
so when
correct.
those guys go, they get your processors, they clear the material, and they do whatever they got to do with the material. The value of the material will automatically go up.
Absolutely, my friend. You're saying it the way I'm saying it, and I don't have facts per se as far as numbers, but what I do know is Aragonite cannot be shipped on a large scale basis out of the Bahamas unless we know where it's being shipped from and who mining it.
You can't ship, and the way they are mining, you can't ship on a large scale. Right now they're mining with clamshell buckets. With a clamshell bucket, you cannot ship it on a large scale. But you'll be able to ship on a large scale. You need suction dredges, and you need a lot of suction dredges.
And that's what Makona had. They had two big, very large dredges that went out on the banks, and they would dredge an entire area. And when they finished, they would call it spoiled ground.
Yeah, no. With those clamshells, those guys would be lucky because mine about 2,000 tons a day on those clamshells.
Yeah, but they're only mining sand for the consumption of the local economy. They're not really mining sand for export. And maybe once and every now and then they may get a deal to export some of that stuff. But again, when they export that, I think most of it is being exported for replenishing beaches in Florida and that type of thing.
Listen to me, my friend. Captain Dan, if they export it, it's on a very small scale, a very, very small scale.
Exactly.
These guys are exaggerating the prices and the quantity that's leaving the Bahamas. You know, the aragonite is there. You have hundreds of billions of tons of aragonite in the Bahamas.
Oh, yeah.
But at this time right now, any mining of aragonite is at a very, very small, minute scale.
Yes, sir. I agree with you fully, and I thank you for your contribution on this matter. And again, you know, we're going to take all contributions, and again, we got the area expert for not for mining aragonite, but for understanding the mining of commodities from and prepare it to ship out of the country.
Okay, sir. Have a good night, and thank you.
I thank you too for calling, and you take care. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Any response to that, Chris?
No, he's correct. Like I said, when I work at the rock mine in Freeport, at our peak export time, the most we ever did was 6.5 million tons.
That's it. So y'all never do nowhere near a billion tons.
We never.
Nowhere. Well, like you say 6.5 million tons.
Yes.
Not even 10 million tons.
Not even 10 million tons.
So it could only be a myth to assume
billions of tons are being used.
that even millions of tons of aragonite is being shipped from this country.
Yeah, that's a myth.
Because I think you got the only large ship that ships any kind of commodity that is extracted from the natural resources out of the country.
Yeah, I think that
nowadays.
I think the largest ship ever been to a Bahama Rock ship loading facility was a Panamax-sized ship, which is about 80,000 tons at one time.
Yeah, but Bahamas Spirit is huge.
Yeah, that only could take 48,000 tons, though.
Yeah, but when that come in Nassau, we think that's the biggest thing around.
When that come to Nassau, that don't even be completely full because the draft is
it can't
too
take
low.
all the draft.
So they normally brings in about 30,000 tons.
Yeah, but it's a humongous ship on a scale of what type of vessels we are dealing with man. Even, well, that's the kind of size that went to Ocean Key. Because they have a dock. And we need to talk about the dock that they have at Bahamas. And the fact that everything is conveyed into the ship. You know? Yep. So you're not loading the ship with clamshells or anything. You're loading the ship like they do at Morton Salts with the salts where they actually have hoppers and conveyors and that type of thing so that you can get that thing out to the ship just by getting it on a conveyor belt.
Yeah, like you said, in order for you to be able to ship millions of tons,
you got to be mining millions of tons.
You got to be mining it, and then you have to have the equipment to
mine it. And you can't hide.
To ship it.
It can't be something that could be hidden.
No.
Everybody would have to know.
Yes.
Yeah, but so, okay, well.
That's a valid point. That's a valid point you just raised.
Yes. I think that there alone kind of expels a lot of the myth.
Yeah, but let me go back to one more thing. I heard you mention just now about Makuna when they was dredging, and then they would dredge the air, and then they'll call it what? You said you made a point that they'll call the ground
spoiled ground.
Spoiled.
Yeah, in other words, they had no fishery stuff, nothing. They kind of kill the area.
Yeah, but see, that's the point I was going to make. Then
replenish this later.
When I first what I was going to say, when I first mentioned Tycoon, I was saying that because aragonite is so regenerable that if you mine it correctly, you could never run out of it. But I think a lot of not a lot, but the mining operations that goes on right now, they don't have the knowledge on how to mine the aragonite correctly. And the incorrect way is anytime you mine an area that you reach down to bedrock, you kill the ground, just like you said.
Spoil the ground.
Once the grass starts growing on the ground where the aragonite was, it never regenerates back there again. So you always got to leave a bed of aragonite on the ground in order for it to continue to regenerate.
Yeah, but most of the local companies here that mine sand use clamshells and the area I can guarantee you, and I know that the area where they go, the next day
Yeah, but-
all the sand comes back.
Because they ain't taking that much.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So they're not doing it in a way where they'll have spoiled grounds.
Right. But
But if they have a dredger that sucks,
right, that's the best way to
that's
do it.
but that's the reason why they would have had some spoiled grounds around Ocean Key. Mind you, there's a certain section that was spoiled ground. Most of it were not, because like you say, maybe they started out wrong, and eventually. But even on the chart, they had it listed as spoiled grounds. And that's why I remember, because I was a navigator. I looked at the chart and I tried to figure these things out.
Yeah, but that's how they spoil the ground.
Yeah.
But anybody getting into the business, I recommend that they do their research on how to mine it. And once you do it correctly, you can't run out.
Well, Chris, our time is approaching. We got less than 10 minutes left. So what I can do is move to a break, and then I can give you a chance to wrap up, because I could go on talking forever. But I know you did a lot of research and preparation. So let's go to a quick break, and we'll come back, and I'll give you a chance to wrap up, and we'll keep it going.
Or Charles Sanders Highway location. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our Eastern South location or in Freeport in the Kipling Building. Call us at 392-3515.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are back on Maritime Matters. Thank you very much for following us. Thank you very much for listening. And I take this opportunity to thank all of those callers. We had some very beautiful calls tonight. We had some extremely good contributions. And I'm going to allow my area expert, Brother Chris CULMER here, my good friend. And for those of you who haven't gotten a number, you still want to call in, it's not too late. We got about 5 minutes left. 326-8255. That's 326-8255. You can call us anytime you feel like. If you feel like you can make a contribution to this beautiful subject. We're talking about Aragonite, we're talking about limestone, we're talking about mining these things from the Bahamas and how we can make some more money out of them, or what is the demand like out there. And that's how we roll in tonight. Yeah, Chris, anything further to say on basically any of the stuff we've been talking about tonight?
Well, the only other thing I want to say is that when we talk about the amount of money you can make from the Aragonite or the limestone mining, you also got to take into consideration the amount of money that you spend in order to run an operation like Aragonite or limestone mining. Just the maintenance cost on an operation like that is huge. I won't even speak about what it costs for the power bill to run.
Power bill would be one of the biggest costs?
Power bill is actually one of the
salary
top.
of workers that comes every month. Well, the power bill comes every month too, eh?
Yes. Let me just give you one good example of
Okay.
what the power bill looks like in a mining operation. For that one drag line alone, the big drag line that pulls the rocks out of the ground,
Right.
that is a 1 megawatt machine. The power bill range from anywhere from $300 to $350,000 a month.
So that drag line is connected to shore supply power?
Freeport Power.
Oh, I thought they had a big engine or something.
No, it runs off Freeport Power. Whenever they start in that drag line,
Right.
they's got to boost the power
Oh,
or shut the whole island down.
there's an induction starting mechanism.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't even know they were connected to power. I thought they were like a ship to generate their own power on board.
No, it gets its power from Freeport Power. So
Okay, so that's a huge cost.
Yeah,
Over
so-
$300,000 a month just
so
for power.
So people look at what you're getting out of it, but you got to look at what you're putting in to get what you get out of it.
And then you got to maintain all the conveyors. You got to maintain all your haul trucks. You got to maintain a lot of stuff. And you're working around salt.
For the mere fact that you're working around salt,
Right.
the maintenance cost on the equipment in a rock mine is tremendous.
So the margin, the profit margin is not that big as people seem to think. Oh, Bahama Rock is making, well, they say in billions, but I'll say it probably would make millions, otherwise why be in business? But when you have all of that kind of equipment being exposed to liability of breaking down and maintenance and all the rest of that, I mean, just to mobilize that stuff alone is a big risk.
It's a big risk, right? And a lot of people don't look at it. They just look at the rock going out and what they think it costs, but they don't never look at what was put in it
to make it happen.
Right, to make it happen.
Okay, Chris, we got a call on the line. Let's just take this one call in our final minutes. Caller, you on Maritime Matters. Thank you very much for calling.
Yes, sir. Good night.
Good night, Brother Larry. How are you, sir?
I'm okay, my brother. Larry over here.
Well, you know I don't miss that voice.
Just I need to know from your guest.
Yes.
Good evening.
How does an average Bahamian get to make $1 or $2 from this by being a middleman as an exporter or something internationally? Is that possible?
How can an average Bahamian as a middleman make money from the export of what you call it?
Limestone?
Limestone, yeah.
Well,
Is there any avenue for Bahamians to be a part of making this money?
yeah, I think so. If you could find the customers that.
Well, let me find Larry. Larry, any further question? Can we hang up, or you want to wait till he's finished?
That's the most important one right there.
Okay, my brother. Thank you very much. I'll hang up and allow Chris to answer.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, what some people do, they become the middleman by becoming a supplier or a broker for the export of the limestone. For example, companies don't have all the customers that they need sometime, and then they would try to source out other people that has the customer to supply them with their goods in order to get rid of it. So Bahamians can set up some kind of distribution yard or something like that and find the customer, and then you could become the middleman, buy it at a bulk rate, and then mark it up.
But
to make a profit.
don't you have local vessels, barges and whatnot that come and actually they're actually supplied by Bahama Rock?
Yeah, but everything that comes a ship off of the island from Bahama Rock through the Bahamas goes through a local company right here in Nassau.
So that is an example of what Larry's asking.
That's an example.
So you
of,
do have local companies. So what you're saying is they if I want to do it, get some
a barge load
of rock boulders or anything from you. I have to go through this company, or I would be able to approach you direct.
You got to buy it from this company if it's going to go load onto the ship. If they're going to export it from Grand Bahama, you have to go to the company and then you pay them. They would make the call and then we load the boat and then go wherever you want it to go.
That don't seem fair to me, Chris.
But if
that don't seem fair to me that me as a Bahamian wanting to purchase something locally, to go to one of the family islands locally, have to go through a particular company as a middle person to make money off me, and I could come directly to Bahama Rock and get that same price that other entity would get. Is that fair?
It don't seem fair, but that's the same question he just asked.
Yeah.
That's how people make money.
Okay. That's how that company make money. But that ain't how a local fella like me or him could make money.
You could make money the same way if you could do the same thing.
Okay, very good. Well, Chris, our show is coming to a close. My good producer is going to give us another half a minute. Anybody you want to say, give a shout out to in Freeport or even in Nassau? I'm just before we wrap up.
Let me just give a shout out to my good partner, Mr. Wendell Phillip.
Yes.
Him and I does consulting work throughout the Bahamas and the Caribbean.
Beautiful.
Actually,
is he a Bahamian?
He's a Bahamian, yes.
He lives in Freeport too?
Yes, he is.
How come you introduced me to him?
He's a former employee of Bahama Rock.
Oh, both of you. Okay. And what's his name?
Vernal Philip.
Vernal Philip.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I would like to meet him sometime, and I'll let you know when I'm coming, so I could probably just meet him. And
Yes,
know that-
anytime.
Okay,
But
okay.
we like I said, we has clients in the Caribbean. We did some work down in Haiti,
Okay.
Turks and Caicos Island, and throughout the Bahamas actually.
You supplying commodities or what kind
Well,
of work
we
you do?
supply services. Like
Oh, okay.
we
Okay, you oversee certain things and this and that.
Right,
Nice.
right.
Okay, that's beautiful, man. Anybody else you want to say, give a shout out to?
I got to show them to my wife.
You better.
She
You can afford to play cute.
yeah, she didn't realize I wasn't coming home tonight.
Now she know.
She know.
She know why.
Yeah.
No more flights.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Well, I thank you so much for gracing our show with your presence, Chris. It was a different kind of show tonight. Usually I'm the expert, but unfortunately, I can't be the expert on them kind of things.
Everything. Eh?
So I am so happy that you were here to grace the show with your knowledge and with your presence. And I say to my callers and the listeners, we are so pleased that you're following us and that you're participating and you're making our show what it is. And we're going to continue pressing on. So I think it was a pretty good show tonight. And we're going to have another good show for you next week, Tuesday. And the Tuesday after that. And we're going to keep it rolling. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I say to you all, good night. Maritime Matters out.